In F-16 Fighting Falcon is a multi-role fighter powered by a Pratt & Whitney F-100 PW220 afterburning turbofan engine, giving a maximum speed at sea level of 1,460 km an hour and 2,414 km an hour at altitude. Combat radius is 550 kilometers on a high-low-high mission, service ceiling is 15,239 meters, and the rate of climb 254 meters per second. The weapons available are a 20mm M61 Vulcan Gatling gun with 511 rounds, 70mm CRV-7 rockets, air-to-air missiles, 2 AIM-7 Sparrows PR, 6 AIM Sidewinders or 6 Iris-T or 6 AIM-120 AMRAAM or 6 Python 4. Air-to-ground missiles, 6 AGM-45 Shrike or 6 AGM-65 Maverick or 6 AGM-88 Harm. Anti-ship missiles, 2 AGM-84 Harpoon or 4 AGM-119 Penguin. Bombs, wind-corrected munition dispenser, 4 GBU-10 Paveway 2, 6 GBU-12 Paveway 2, 6 Paveway Series laser-guided bombs, 4 JDAM, 4 Mark 84 general-purpose bombs, 8 Mark 83 general-purpose bombs, 12 Mark 82 general-purpose bombs, B-61 nuclear bomb. The still-active F-16 made its maiden flight on the 2nd of February 1974 and was introduced into active service on the 17th of August 1978, and since then some 4,000 have been built. The F-16 was originally intended as a light fighter, but ultimately it became a multi-role tactical aircraft, well equipped with the weapons just mentioned. It was the versatility that gave it multi-role capability, which also made it successful on the export market, being deployed by air forces in Bahrain, Belgium, Chile, Denmark, Egypt, Greece, Jordan, Indonesia, Israel, Italy, Morocco, Netherlands, Oman, Pakistan, Poland, Portugal, Singapore, Taiwan, South Korea, Thailand, Turkey, United Arab Emirates, and Venezuela. The Hill Air Force Base in Utah was selected to become the launch pad for the Fighting Falcons. Not only was this the first home for the first F-16 combat unit, but it had also trained pilots and engineers from almost every one of the many foreign customers, including the 4 major NATO European air forces, who helped launch the program. The Falcon entered service at Hill in the first week of '79, 5 months after its maiden flight. It was then still a very new aircraft, and Hill not only explored its reliability and its maintainability under service conditions, but also kept discovering new capabilities. Hill gets all kinds of weather, from scorching summer heat to Arctic conditions in winter, and the first unit, the U.S. Air Force 388 Tactical Fighter Wing, subjected the new aircraft to a testing series of intense operations, finally becoming fully combat ready in October 1980. Throughout, the F-16's performance was brilliant. First overseas customers were the 4 European air forces, Belgium, Denmark, the Netherlands and Norway. All 4 countries shared in the manufacturing program, with F-16 assembly lines in Belgium and the Netherlands, from which have come over 400 aircraft. Norway's aircraft tend to operate for much of the year in icy conditions. They are also equipped with braking parachutes in the extended compartment immediately below the rudder. All F-16s are fitted with comprehensive electronics and targeting equipment. In the presence of many dignitaries from the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, the Belgian 349 Squadron became the first F-16 unit to be declared to NATO as fully operational on the 16th of January 1981. In becoming operational, this unit put up the best score in air-to-air and air-to-surface firing ever attained at the ranges in Corsica, figures subsequently bettered by other F-16 units as they entered service. Belgian F-16s appear similar to those of the Norwegian Air Force, with the prominent extension of the dead nozzle, but in place of a parachute, the compartment houses electronic countermeasure equipment. As early as July 1979, the US Air Force 16th Tactical Fighter Training Squadron began taking on board Belgian and Dutch aircraft to help train foreign F-16 pilots. In Denmark, one main F-16 operating base is at Skrydstrup, the other being at Aalborg. Like other operators of the Flying Falcon, the Danes reckon to fly 3 sorties per day per aircraft, something unheard of with earlier jets. Full testing and maintenance facilities are of course available to keep the aircraft flying. In numerical terms, the most powerful European F-16 force is that of the Netherlands. With the Dutch, the accent is on the air-to-ground mission, and they found that even the original F-16A could set outstanding scores in bombing and air-to-ground gunnery, despite the fact that Dutch weather is often very bad. All its many qualities notwithstanding, the Fighting Falcon is most definitely a dogfighter, with some innovations including a frameless bubble canopy for better visibility, a side-mounted control stick for easier control while under high G-forces, and reclined seat to reduce the effect of G-force on the pilot. Actually, it was the first fighter aircraft to be built to sustain a 9G turn. It also has a thrust-to-weight ratio better than 1, giving it enough power to climb and accelerate vertically. Despite the official Fighting Falcon name, its pilots call it the Viper, after the Battlestar Galactica starfighter. Starfighter or not, the F-16 has participated in many conflicts, most of them in the Middle East. In 1981, 8 Israeli F-16s participated in a raid on Osirak, a nuclear reactor near Baghdad, and in the same year another Israeli F-16 shot down a Syrian Mi-8 helicopter and a MiG-21, thereby scoring the first air-to-air kill by any F-16. F-16s were part of NATO's peacekeeping operations in 1994-95 in Bosnia, performing ground attack missions and enforcing the no-fly zone. And the Fighting Falcons did inflict a number of casualties, as in one confrontation, 2 US Air Force F-16s downed 4 Yugoslavian jets. The F-16 wasn't totally invulnerable. On the 2nd of May 1999, a US Air Force F-16CG was shot down by a Yugoslavian SA-3, a Russian surface-to-air missile over Serbia. But still, the F-16 Fighting Falcon is one of the best aircraft still flying. Bed to NATO was the first Mach 2 fighter. This single-seat aircraft could reach a maximum speed of 2,230 km an hour through a relatively low-powered Tumansky R-25-300 afterburning turbojet. The service ceiling was 19,000 meters and the rate of climb was 225 meters per second. However, the combat range was only 450 to 500 kilometers. The MiG-21 was armed with either one centerline twin-barreled GSH 23mm cannon or one single-barreled NR-30 cannon. In addition, it could carry 2,000 kilograms of air-to-air and air-to-ground weapons on 2 or 4 underwing hardpoints. Early versions carried 2 Vimpel K-13 air-to-air missiles. Later models carried 2 K-13 and 2 fuel tanks, or a combination of 4 K-13 infrared and radar-guided missiles. The maiden flight took place on the 14th of June 1956, only a year after the first supersonic MiG-19 was introduced. This successful fighter interceptor went into service in 1959 and could give the American F-104 a run for its money, though it did have some drawbacks. The MiG-21 suffered early problems with the air-to-air missiles, as they didn't perform as well as could be expected during combat, in addition to which the gyro gun sight could malfunction during high-speed maneuvers. However, the teething problems were eventually solved, but what could not be solved was the comparative short combat range. The short combat range notwithstanding, the MiG-21 did achieve some reasonable success in Vietnam when pitted against, for example, the American F-105 Thunder Chief fighter bomber. A MiG-21 MF, piloted by the North Vietnamese Pham Tuan, made a spectacular claim to fame on the 26th of December 1972, when he shot down the first and only U.S. Air Force B-52 Stratofortress. Pham Tuan later became hero of the Soviet Union and a cosmonaut. He was the first Vietnamese into space, actually the first person from a third world country to do so. Further reports from the war in Vietnam indicate that the MiG-21 did well against the F-4 Phantom II and the A-4 Skyhawk, but less so against the F-15 Eagle and the F-16 Fighting Falcon. The Balalaika, as the MiG-21 was affectionately known by the Russians because of its shape, was flown in some 50 countries, and it still serves many nations more than half a century after its maiden flight. The aircraft holds a number of aviation records, including the most produced fighter jet aircraft in aviation history. Estimates are that more than 10,000 MiG-21s were built, the most produced combat aircraft since World War II, and the longest production run of a combat aircraft. How these records came about might be a little confusing, considering the number of MiG-15s built. The MiG-21's Mach 2 plus capacity appears even more impressive, considering that it exceeds the top speed of many later fighter types. And it had a mighty punch.